This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I'm here with winemaker John Bojanowski, who is Polish, American, and now in France. What brings you here, sir?
Well, what brought me here 25 years ago was coming to work in high tech, but after 5 years, one of my colleagues introduced me to a woman from the south of France who had started her plans preparing to grow her own grapes and make her own wines. And I jumped off the high-tech bandwagon and learned to drive tracker.
Did you fall in love with wine with this lady or with both?
Yes, with both. I fell in love with wine. First her, then her project was very seductive.
At this point, were you familiar with the wines from this region?
I had been drinking them for about 5 years in Paris, because I had a colleague who was teaching me all about that. But I've learned a lot since I've been working with her.
Now, originally your wife had some plans for some interesting grape varietals down here. Please tell us a little about that.
Nicole wanted to plant Syrah and Cabernet Sauvignon at altitude in white limestone gravel soil. She did that, but in order to get grapes immediately, not have to wait for 5 years, she bought 1 hectare, so 2.5 acres, which was half Carignan, planted in 1911, so now it's 104 years old.
Bloody hell, that's
vine,
amazing.
And the other half is pink Grenache. And so from 1999, our first harvest, we had red and white out of the pink Grenache. That completely changed our plans because this old grape variety, Carignan especially, was so much more interesting than it was supposed to be. And we started asking ourselves, well, why is everybody talking about Syrah when they should be talking about Carignan? And so for a number of years, we only had Carignan. We were making pure Carignans, and we've become some of the world's most vociferous defenders of this grape variety.
Are there many other people doing that right now in your region?
More and more. When we started, in 2004, response to some bad articles about Carignan, we set up the world's first worldwide Carignan tasting. So we had about 30 Carignans from south of France, Spain, South Africa, California, and we were only able to find about 30 from the south of France, although there was more Carignan planted than anything else. So nobody was admitting that they were putting Carignan.
It was all being blended then.
It was all being blended, or it was being sold without a Carignan on the label. Now there's at least 300 pure Carignans across Languedoc. It's completely exploded. We've got a growers movement called Carignan Renaissance, and I believe May 26th is International Carignan Day.
Oh, I didn't even know that existed. That's a good thing.
You can find out on Carignan Renaissance Facebook page.
So, for you, what does Carignan bring to the table, and what, in your mind, is the best way to both deal with it in the vineyard and then deal with it in the winery?
Carignan is a lot more work than Syrah in the vineyards because it's susceptible to our biggest fungus problem, powdery mildew, oidium, which basically means that you need to get out early and do a lot of work, which you don't have to do with Syrah. Taking leaves off, making sure that your canopy has a lot of air in it, doing sulfur, wettable or powdered sulfur treatments. And so you have to really stay on top of that, so it's much more work than Syrah. But Carignan gives you, in my opinion, much more character than Syrah does here in the south of France. Carignan is very well adapted to hot, sunny, dry climate. In 2003, when all of the Syrahs and Grenaches were at 15% or more, Carignan was at 13.5%, like it always is. Very ripe, spicy, nice acidity, and it's a wine that tastes like wine.
Aromatically, what does it bring to the glass?
Acidity. Brings spiciness, eucalyptus menthol type overtones, and generally a really nice, when it's ripe, black fruit. But again, the question with Carignan is it ripe? It's a late ripening grape variety, which was the big problem why people said Carignan wasn't so great, because said it was rustic, because people never let it get ripe.
Right.
Pick it at the beginning of September, because you start picking grapes at the beginning of September down here, and the Carignan still needs a few more weeks. Carignans get big seeds, thick skins, thick stems. If they're green, you got rustic tannins. If you wait a few more weeks, and the grapes are really ripe, rustic tannins are gone, and it's wonderful.
So John, if people were interested in finding out a little bit more about your wines, where would they be visiting on the interwebs?
They could look at closdugravillas.com, CLOSDUGRAVILLAS.com, on Facebook as well, and they could also go see Carignan Renaissance or carignans.com to find out more about the grape and our Growers Association.
Fantastic for that little 101 on Carignan. Much appreciated. I never pronounce it correctly, but thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Bye for now.
Bye.